This is John Wight. I'm here in the centre of Paris, Saturday morning, the 8th of December, amongst yellow vest protesters trying to make their way up towards the Champs-Elysees, and they've been blocked by police officers who are searching bags. The atmosphere has started to get pretty charged. Previously, throughout the morning, this has been happening. Police officers searching protesters as they attempt to make their way through the city. I don't know where they're congregating, what their aims are in terms of staging a protest today. For the first time since I've been following these protesters, the balance of forces is now almost equal between police and protesters. Previously it was always an overwhelming police presence. Now we have protesters beginning to make their numbers felt. Most of these protesters, certainly the ones I've spoken to, are from out with Paris. As you can hear, the chants are going up. These protesters are not far right by any means, that's nonsense, but neither are they far left. They've made it clear that they are anti-politics as usual, but of course that can't last forever, because if you're not part of, if you don't have your own agenda, you become part of someone else's agenda. It's very inchoate, it's very porous, and that at this stage is what gives it its strength, because clearly the authorities do not know what they're dealing with. They have no identifiable leader or leadership to deal with, to try and split off from the grassroots. So it's very heterogeneous at this point. And it's very determined and angry. They are not interested in talking to the authorities. They want action. They want Macron gone. They want a new constitution. They want popular referenda. And they want change. The ones I've spoken to are not anti-EU, by the way. They want a reformed EU. But of course not all of them will have the same view of Brussels. It seems like they're being channeled up a side street by the police. And if you want to see the far right, just look at those guys in the Kevlar helmets down there. That's the far right. The gendarmes of the state, stormtroopers. Having said that, I spoke to a young guy this morning with a yellow vest who said that the police have, by and large, been kind of sympathetic. But based on what I've just seen here, that seems hard to believe. But of course it is to the extent that the police are sympathetic that this protest will gain momentum. 70% of people in France, according to recent opinion polls, support the yellow vests and their aims, and they are organising at this point around concrete economic demands regarding taxation. So things are certainly heating up here. More and more protesters are arriving. Certainly they've not been dissuaded or in any way intimidated by the alarmist warnings of thousands of police being here on the streets today. So there's certainly going to be a clash, you can tell with the atmosphere. But as the saying goes, war happens when the government tells you who your enemy is. Revolution happens when you work it out for yourself, and these people have certainly worked it out for themselves. And this is part of a Europe-wide struggle against austerity. This is not localised. This is not a French issue. This is a neoliberal issue. This is wherever neoliberalism exists, and obtains and exerts tyranny over the lives of the masses of the people. Over 8 million people in France living in poverty, 9% unemployment, 14 million people in the UK in poverty, 1.5 million destitute, 4 million children in poverty. That's the real violence. That's the structural violence of unfettered and unregulated capitalism. Neoliberalism is broken, it's dead. It died in 2008, and it is a consequence of the beneficiaries of this brutal, barbaric economic model trying to breathe life back into it, keep it on life support with these draconian austerity programs designed to transfer wealth from the poor and working class to the rich. There is a cause of this crisis. This is a beautiful thing. This is nothing regressive or negative. These are people, regular people, who've had enough. And as Dr. Martin Luther King said quite rightly, a riot is a language of the unheard. And this is the unheard making themselves heard after being disenfranchised and dispossessed and immiserated and economically oppressed for far too long. These are the men and women of no property coming face to face with the forces of property in the centre of Paris. Here we are at the Arc de Triomphe. So this is John Wight in the centre of Paris on Saturday the 8th of December. Over and out for now.